In my hand I hold the cosmic orb of chaos. Its many numbered sides, able to reach out through the cosmos, into the realms of destruction, summoning the many-headed god. His teeth will gnash at cities, his claws will blot out the stars, and just when the heroes... No, this is just plastic. This is... What up, nerds? And welcome to Mikey Creates, my new channel. I am Mikey, and today I'm going to start my first video for my new YouTube channel, which is basically going to be about nerdy stuff. DnD, Magic the Gathering, video games. I want to do maybe toy reviews at some point, tutorials, things like that. Please feel free to go into the comments and leave me some ideas if there's things that you think that there's spots to fill in terms of like the nerdy hobby world. That being said, this video today is going to be about creating a 5th edition fighter for Dungeons & Dragons. My wife is going to be GMing a game set in the new setting, Tomb of the Colossus Gods. It's a very big book. It was on a 5e Kickstarter not too long ago. So we're going to get into that. I didn't really mesh with any of the classes that are in that book, so I decided I would just make a fighter. I just played a spellcaster. I thought I'd play a fighter. If all this sounds like gobbledygook, that's okay. Because what I'm going to do is show you from beginning to end how to create a character using 5th edition's character creation rules, a little bit of homebrew in the way that we make our characters. But to begin with, we'll jump in. We're going to roll some stats. But first off, let's put your character sheet. So first and foremost, you're going to need a place to copy down your stats. This game is going to be played in person, so I'm going to use a paper and pencil. This might be a little washed out. This is a character sheet that I found from a website called Obvious Mimic. It is very, very streamlined and nice. I like that it has all of the abilities, skills, and things like that kind of condensed. I'll get a better picture once we're not in this face-down mode with the dice tower, but I just wanted you to take a look and see. This is your character sheet. This is going to have your important stats. Stats are what your statistics, and they determine your ability to do things in the game. Up here is strength. Can't quite get strength. Strength, dexterity. Then you have constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. They get a score anywhere from 0 to 30. Typically, 20 is considered like pretty powerful. 30 is like god level. 10 is your average human and below. 0 to like 15 is kind of average. There's better explanations of this, but most important part to take away is that your class, whatever you pick, is going to be heavily dependent on these stats. Since I'm going to make a fighter here, this character is going to more than likely be more resilient towards strength, or reliant upon strength, because I'm planning on making him a big, strong two-hander guy, and constitution. So just to give you a little idea. So how do we get those numbers? That's the next, well, it's kind of the first step. It's kind of get an idea of what you want this person to be. So when it comes to who your character is going to be, the important part is the stats. That's what we've been talking about. In order to get those stats, you need to roll for them. Or there's other ways of doing it. That's how I'm doing it, is to roll for them. That's kind of the classic way, but there are things like point buy, which is where you get assigned a certain amount of points. You tally those out, and they hit a certain point, and that gets you different numbers in each stat. There is standard array, which is, I believe, like 8, 10, 12, 13, 15? 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 6. Pretty sure. Could be wrong. And then there are just a myriad of other crazy ways I've seen. I've seen where people take a 20-sided die and roll 6 of them, and that's their scores. the way that we're working is rolling 4d6s, and we roll 4d6s, taking the 3 highest, and taking the lowest dice, and dropping them. These dice I purchased on a Kickstarter from the people at Elder Dice. I'm sorry about the camera quality. It's my first video, and I have a couple things to hammer out. But the people at Infinite Black, they had a Kickstarter for. Well, I've purchased many of their Kickstarters. This mat itself, this is Transcendence of the Traveler. This is a card map, usually for playing Magic the Gathering or something, or Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, what have you. This was part of a Kickstarter I got for some Elder Dice. They usually do more Lovecraftian themed things, which I love. But these ones were one-up dice. They were built around looking like the old school Nintendo kind of stuff. So this is going to be the dice that I use. This is the Arcane Candle set, obviously. This is really cool. I like it because the case is a cartridge. I do believe you can purchase these now from their website. I did a Kickstarter, and the inside are even cool. They have these like holofoil. Kind of reminds me of like the old holofoil Pokemon cards, and well, the new holofoil Pokemon cards and Magic cards. But the dice set in here is just gorgeous. It is purple and pink, which purple's my favorite color. Pink's kind of like a runner-up as well. And so we'll be rolling these. Hopefully they roll good for me. So I've got 4d6. I'm going to go ahead and leave the rest of these dice here. I'm also going to leave this here because this is a dice tower that my buddy Wyatt printed for me. Thank you so much, Mr. Wyatt, if you're watching this. It doesn't have anything to catch the dice, so it tends to shoot them across the room, which is really amazing. Not great for making a video, but I digress. Get it? Digress. Anyways. So we're going to start off with that. I also recommend get yourself a scratch pad. My wife allows for 2 separate rolls. So sets, basically. So 2 sets of 6, rolling 4 dice, dropping the lowest. Let's get started. Got stuck. Okay, so here we have 4, 3, 2, 1. We would drop the 1, giving us 9. Off to a great start. Now, I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for decades. Not 4 decades, but for decades, as in since the late 90s. And so we've got 5, 4, 3, 1, so 12. That's not too bad. And I've played many characters, I've played many races, many classes. I typically GM, which is Game Master, Dungeon Master, however you want to put it. So we have another 12. And when I get the opportunity to play, I get very excited because I usually have a backlog of silly character ideas. Now, when it has a face like that, that means that it is the 6, okay? Which, again, we'll play on the shadows. So we're going to take this here, 6, 4, 3, drop the 1, so that is 13. Not bad, kind of in the middle. And so since I've been playing for that long, I've done this many different ways. Ooh, look at that! 6, 6, 4. So that is 16. That's great. If I didn't mention this before, I'm going to be playing a Minotaur with this, which Minotaur get a bonus of Strength and Constitution. So I see a couple of scores on here that are probably going to get used for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got one more in this. All right. Oh, I thought it was going to be a little bit better. So that is a total of 14 there. Yeah, 14. So this part, I'm probably just going to chit-chat with you for a little bit while I get the rest of this done. I really wanted to start this YouTube channel just to kind of pursue some more nerdy exploits, do some fun stuff that I haven't been able to do in a while. That's another 9 to start with. And just share what I know, and hopefully people like it. If they don't, then they don't, and that's where we are. 11. Nice. Well, those ones could have been something else, but so 2 6s and a 1, so that is 12. 13, Mikey. I can do maths. Oh, that one went flying off. That's 12. I'm probably... These are very similar numbers, but so far this one's 1 less than the other, so I'm probably going to take the first array, but let's go for an 18, right? 3, 6, 8. Yikes. Alright, last roll. Let's see. If this is an 18, I'm going to have a tough decision. Okay, thank God. So that's a 12. Obviously, we're going to go with the 9, the 12, the 12, the 13, the 16, and the 14. Alright, so that was rolling for stats. Pretty simple. Next up, we're going to go ahead with assigning those stats. Alright, so now we've got our stats here. and I have to do a little bit of investigation real quick. I do have pretty much every book in existence as far as the Dungeons and Dragons books. That's being said, I don't have them all right with me because I'm in the middle of a move that's been taking quite some time. So this book is in the Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse, is where you will find the stat information for the Minotaur. So with that being said, on here we have character name. I don't have an idea for that, and interesting enough, I was thinking of maybe putting together a little quiz for you guys to have you come up with a name for this character. If you have any ideas, shout them out in the comments. Classes and levels. I'm going to do fighter, and don't worry if you can't see what I'm writing. Just know that everything is listed on here, and maybe I'll post a screenshot at the end of the whole sheet. But if you get this sheet, you'll be able to follow along kind of where everything's going. I'm also on a mat, so it's a little bit harder to press. Also, I have terrible handwriting, so I'm kind of saving you that struggle. So, a quick character name. I have a character name. Pronouns for this guy. I'm gonna go with he, him, or moo moo. Species is Minotaur. And ancestry, lineage, usually they have multiple versions of the Minotaur that you can play. From what I have read through, there really is no big difference except for it has an ability called Labyrinthine Recall, which means I always know the direction of north. Opposing presence, which means I have proficiency in one of the following skills, intimidation or persuasion. I'll tell you what that means later. And that's pretty much it. They're all kind of the same except for the Amonkhet version gets stuff similar to the orc. So with this one, I will probably have to talk to my wife. But I'm pretty sure that's the one I'm going to go with, is the plane shift. He gets amazing abilities. Minotaurs do not have dark vision. However, there are ways of getting around that. But anyways, that sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook. Again, we're going to get there. Okay, now, my biggest stat is a 16. Okay, the Minotaur gets a +2 to strength. We are making a fighter who is going to use a big beefy sword to chop people up. So that being said, strength is where that 16 is going to get assigned to, with a +2, making it a total of 18. Now, there is going to be tons and tons of contention about what I'm about to do next. This is a hard decision. Do you put the 18 in the big box and the modifier in the bottom? Or the modifier in the big box and the stat in the little box? Well, the number that you use for the modifier tends to be the one you use the most, so he's going in the big box. +5. No, +4. Mistakes. Hey. An 18 gets you a +4. Typical breakdown, 10 and 11 is nothing. 12 and 13 is a 1. 14 and 15 is a 2. 16 and 17 is a 3. 18 and 19 is a 4. 20 is a 5. Most abilities cannot get you above 20 without magical assistance. Okay, so I have assigned my 16. I'm going to mark it off on my piece of paper here. Then we're going to go to 14. 14 is the next highest number. We are going to be a very tanky character, and as such, with the Minotaur, we also get a +1 to con. We're going to put this 14 in the Constitution. That's going to make it a 15, which is going to give me +2. Let's see, 10, 11, nothing. 12, 13 is a 1. It's a +2 to Constitution. Constitution is going to determine your hit points and ability to handle fatigue. I do believe con saves are the second most popular save next to dexterity. Which, speaking of dexterity, that's where our 13 is going to go. So a 13 in dexterity for a +1. This is going to give us a bonus to our armor class, which is our ability to not get hit by stuff. Okay, so 13 gets marked off. I have a 12, a 12, and a 9. The character that I have envisioned is very smart. Well, somewhat smart. He knows a lot of things. So we're going to make his intelligence the 12, which is then a +1. We're going to give him a wisdom 9. That 9 is going to give him a -1. And then we're going to go to charisma, which is going to be a 12. He's got that riz, a little bit of riz. This is to make him a little bit more charming to get out of situations. The idea here is that he's going to be a bull in a china shop. And that being said, he is going to find himself walking into situations that he is not going to know exactly how to get out of. So that's assigning stats, and then we're going to get into the other racial abilities. All right, so another important aspect of your character is their background. This can be something that helps you come up with a backstory. We usually like to do a backstory, 1 or 2 pages. I tend to write like a short story because I have a problem. That being said, the background is going to kind of tell where your character came from, where he grew up from. Doesn't necessarily mean everything about him, but it kind of helps you set like a precedent or like a benchmark for what your character is. In this book, I'm going to be using a special background to the setting. It is the child of exile, and I will read a little bit of that. Your parents have been banished from the kingdom you hail from. As an adult, you aim to find them. The clues from slavers and tavern patrons indicate a colony of exiles on a lonely island known as the Land of Decay. It is a harsh landscape where only the strong and those willing to do anything survive. Hopefully, your parents are resilient. So, one of the features, you have heard of this exile colony and aim to reunite and bring them back to the civilized kingdoms at any cost. It also gives us some proficiencies. The tool proficiency, herbalism kit or navigator's tools. Herbalism kit is the ability to cultivate herbs and whatnot. I believe is used for medicine checks and things like that. Well, it can be used for medicine checks. Then the navigator's tools is things like a compass or a sextant or maps or spyglass, things like that. That helps you with sailing and such. The history I'm going off of with my character here kind of split down the middle whether I like the herbalism kit or navigator's tool, so I will probably come back to that. Come back to that later. There is also skill proficiencies. You get both of these: investigation and perception. These are very important skills. Perception is the most used skill in the game, so I'll get proficiency with that. Proficiency bonus is something you get at certain levels. You start off with a +2. It's basically your capability of doing something as a character in general. If you have proficiency in something, you get this little bonus to it, and as you grow, that bonus gets bigger, along with your stats, along with other abilities, to the point that you being proficient in something makes you a master of that thing. Also get some equipment, a set of traveler's clothes, which is basic rugged gear for traveling on the road, any one gaming or musical instrument you are proficient with, and a belt pouch containing 15 GP. That's gold, baby. So we're going to go ahead and put in the backgrounds Child of Exiled. Exiled. I have a whole backstory that's going to fit into. That being said, I will get skill proficiencies in investigation and perception. So those proficiencies are here. Skills are on this part of. Skills are going to be on this sheet here. If you have a sheet at home, the standard Dungeons and Dragons has these stats on the other side, along with the skills here, and kind of it's laid out slightly different. I just like this sheet, so I'm going to go with it. Okay, so I'm proficient in investigation and perception. You can fill in this dot. You can put an X. You can put colors. You can do whatever you want. It's your thing. Have fun with it. There's not going to be any more stat increases down the road. During this character creation, so we're free to go ahead and slot in the what we're doing here. Investigation is always intelligence. Okay, and perception is always wisdom. So I'm gonna just do this. Okay, again, not gonna be able to read that. It's a little washed out from the light. Doesn't matter. So with proficiency bonus, so my proficiency bonus here at level 1, I believe it's a +2. It is a +2. Proficiency bonus is a +2. Okay, my modifier for intelligence is a +1. My modifier for wisdom is a -1. Actually, that's my bad. You're supposed to put the total number on there. So, proficiency is +2. So, for investigation, I will have a +3. For perception, I'll have a +1. We're going to have to get that wisdom score up. I'll have to double check. I'm not sure, but I do believe 9 is a -1. If I'm wrong, I will change that. Get at me in the comments. We're here to have fun. Okay. That is everything we're going to take from the background right now. So I'm going to go ahead and close the book, put it away in a special spot you can't see because it's somewhere else. Okay, we're going to go through the rest of the Minotaur stuff real quick to assign our abilities. Minotaurs they develop slowly compared to humans, reaching full maturity around the age of 20. They typically become acolytes at around 8 or 9 years old, making them among the older members of their crops. Once they reach maturity, though, Minotaurs age quickly, rushing headlong through the trials, as they do all aspects of life. To complete them before they pass their peak, a Minotaur allowed to die of old age would rarely live beyond 40. This is because it's the Amonkhet version. I do believe it's pretty similar for all of them. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and look at the alignment. I believe alignment is going to be on one of the other sheets. Let me take a quick look. Sorry. Okay, so we have on this one features and traits, which is part of our background that we will come back to. Character appearance, acquaintance, character backstory, write that down, features and traits, equipment. I don't think they included an alignment on this sheet, so, well, interesting. Well, your alignment tends to be where your character leans towards as far as their beliefs. Chaotic evil would make you pretty much evil. Think maybe the Joker. And lawful good would make you the holiest of the holiest. Think your paladin. Not always paladins anymore, but your historical paladins would be on that end. And then everything in between is all over the place. So, I will have to see if this sheet has an alignment somewhere else, but we're not going to worry about it right now. Okay, size. Minotaurs average over 6 feet in height. They have strong, stocky builds. That being said, they are still a size medium. Let's see if there's a size on here. This is kind of like creating a character on hard mode because I decided to pick a new sheet. They do not have on here. Not specifically on here. I'm going to write it down in the margins. It's a great thing about having margins in a character sheet. Use them. They're pretty great. Okay. My speed. I have a walking speed of 30 feet. I don't have wings or the ability to fly. Climbing speed is something that we will adjust later. Swimming speed and burrowing speed. We will go over all of those a little bit later. They're a bit more advanced than the normal stuff. We're going to go with languages. Are languages on this page? Oh, languages is right here. Okay. I was like, that's kind of important. So, I can speak, read, and write Common and Minotaur. Okay. So that is what we get for having picked Minotaur. There is also a couple of abilities in there, but those are... Oh, you gain proficiency in the Intimidation skill. So, Intimidation, we're going to mark that. Intimidation is an interesting ability because you can choose whether to be Charismatic Intimidation, which means you kind of use your force of will and ability to talk to people, or you can choose Strength. I have an 18 in Strength. We're going to choose Strength for Intimidation. Then, +4 with a 2 in Proficiency. That makes that a +6. The other thing that we get is Relentless Endurance. You're reduced to 0 hit points, but not killed outright. You can drop to 1 point instead. Can't use it again until a long rest. And Savage Attacks. When you score a critical hit with a melee weapon, you can roll one of the weapon's damage dice one additional time and add it to the extra damage of the critical hit. You also get natural weapons. You can use your horns as a natural weapon to make unarmed strikes. If you hit with your horns, you deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength. Again, stuff you might not understand, stuff we'll talk about. Next up, we have class features. Class features are what make you the class that you are. For class, we have chosen Fighter. Starting at level 1, you receive what's called HD, or hit dice. Your hit dice for a Fighter is 1d10. So, the amount of hit dice that I receive, or that I will have at this point, is 1d10. So, I'm going to put that in this spot here that says HD, 1d10. I'm just going to put a d10. I think this sheet's a little bit more cramped. This is a good, if anyone from Obvious Mimic is watching this, then I think maybe, hopefully this is like a, oh hey, you know what, this could be a better sheet, or I think a couple things could change. I don't think it's a bad sheet at all. I like that a lot of it's simplified, but I think also it might be too simplified. Not sure. Okay, so I've got a D10 for my hit die. My maximum HP is at first level. I receive 10 plus my Constitution modifier. That would be a total of 12. Maximum hit points are 12. If you are reduced below your if your hit points are reduced to 0, you begin to die. When you are dying, you make death saves. Roll a d20. 1 through 10, I believe, or is it 1 through? Yeah, 1 through 10. It's bad. You get a failed death save. 11 to 20 is a success. If you get a 1, it's 2 fails. You get a natural 20. You come back to life with 1 hit point. So do that. Not that easy. Okay, so I have a D10. I get one of those first level. If I rest, I may use that D10 to heal myself, and then I don't get another one until I long rest. And I'll explain those later. Okay, so we get a D10 plus your con per fighter level after first. Proficiencies. Proficiencies are all armor and shields. So I am proficient with all light armor, medium armor, heavy armor, and shields. I am then proficient with all simple weapons and martial weapons. Simple weapons are things like clubs, slings, your basic dagger and sword. Martial weapons are a little bit more advanced than that. For saving throws, I get proficiency in strength and constitution. So I am proficient in those two saves. That means I get a +2 whenever I make a save for for either of those. For strength, that's going to be 4 + 2, makes my modifier of 6. For constitution, that is 2 + 2 for a modifier of 4. You still get your stats to the other saves, so it's always a good idea to kind of write those down as well. I have a +1 to dex. My intelligence is going to be a +1. My wisdom is going to be a -1. And my charisma is going to be a 1. These are always important to kind of have all of them laid out. Perceptions. Senses. I do not have blind sight, dark vision, tremor sense, or true sense. For passives, the way that you decide your passive perception is 10, or maybe it's 8. No, I believe it's 10. It's 10 plus your perception score. My perception is a 1, means my passive perception is 11. For investigation, my passive investigation is a 13. For my insight, my passive insight, insight is a... It doesn't have them right here, and I'm terrible at remembering which is which. We will come back to this later as well. Insight is decided by your wisdom, okay? So my insight, based off of wisdom, is just what I have there, which is a -1. I am going to be incredibly terrible at reading people. So I have an passive insight of 9. These are scores that your GM can reference while you're playing to say, hey, I'm not asking you to make a check because you're not actively doing things, but something is happening to you. I need to know what your passive perception is. This is if somebody's trying to steal from you, they're doing something that you might not notice or goes unnoticed. That's kind of what that does. So the rest of these I'll flesh out later, but it's usually a good idea once you know your numbers to kind of fill out all these stats, just so you know what those numbers are. When you roll them for a quick reference, they're generally going to be whatever your stats are on the list. Okay, so that is what we're proficient. Oh, we get 2 additional skill proficiencies that we get to choose from: acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, perception, and survival. We are already proficient in 3. One of those, investigation, is not on that list. However, we're going to want to pick probably athletics and either survival or history. I think that we will be, based on the character that I'm making, I think that he will have a pretty good knowledge of history. I know that's probably not the greatest choice to make, but we're going to make it history and athletics. I am nothing if not someone who sticks to his guns when it comes to story choices. I made a sorcerer that was afraid of fire one time, and didn't go super great when it came time to pick spells. Everybody said fireball. I did not pick fireball, because I would have been afraid. So that's a +6. And then history is intelligence. Right. 5 intelligence. Google is your best friend. If you ever need a ruling, if you ever need... It is intelligence for history. If you ever need what happens in this scenario, Google is your friend. Okay. So we've assigned those skill proficiencies. Then we get equipment. So we get to choose chainmail or leather, longbow, and 20 arrows. That's leather armor. Second choice is a martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons. Third one is a light crossbow and 20 bolts, or 2 hand axes. And then a dungeoneer's pack or an explorer's pack. So this is coming right back to the Google. So first off, we're going to go ahead and Google what the difference is between chainmail or leather armor. So chainmail. Chainmail. And again, this is something you can look up on your own. Chainmail gives you an AC of 16. It gives you disadvantage on stealth checks. Made of interlocking metal rings, chainmail includes a layer of quilted fabric worn underneath. A mail to prevent chafing and to cushion the impact of blows. The suit includes gauntlets. I read that like that because there's no like punctuation on here. Anyways, let's just go to a different spot here and just see what type of dex mod it adds. Chainmail does not get a dex mod. If we pick leather armor gives us an 11 plus dex mod. We're going to choose chainmail. Surprise! So, chainmail is medium armor. No, I'm sorry, chainmail is not medium armor. Chainmail is heavy armor. So, that will be on a different sheet. That's going to be here. Equipment, name, chainmail. I have one. There is a category for weight. We don't use weight. If you like to do that, you can. I know some people like that full immersive fantasy. I've never found it to be a very fun mechanic, so we don't use it unless it's something very, very heavy or something very, very light. Okay, disadvantage on stealth. What that means is that you roll 2d20s and you keep the lower number and add your abilities. Chain mail disadvantage. It gives an AC of 16. So, that then means I'm going to take the two-handed weapon ability. I know a lot of people will say that you should take dueling. I'm not doing that. Not min-maxing. So my AC is then going to be a 16 that does not get to add my armor class. So, or I'm sorry, does not get to add my dexterity. So that will put me at a 16 armor class. That is a heavy armor, total of 16. Okay, we have picked our armor. We did not pick the longbow and leather armor. The next thing is a martial weapon and a shield, or two martial weapons. So, we're going to go ahead and look up D&D, martial weapons. Alright, martial weapons. What falls under martial weapons? Battle axe, flail, glaives, great axe, great sword, halberds, lances, long swords, mauls, morning stars, pike, rapier, scimitar, short sword, trident, war pick, warhammer, and whip. Martial range weapons would be blowgun, crossbow, hand crossbow, and heavy crossbow, longbow, and a net. So, based on this character, I'm giving him a great sword. Weapon and spell attacks. Great sword. Great sword. Not okay sword. Not slightly good sword. That's a great sword. We'll worry about those stats a little bit later, but he gets a great sword, and I can choose a shield, or I can choose a second martial weapon. I'm not going to take a shield. I'm probably never going to use it. Let's be honest. This character is not going to be this is very caution to the wind. So, then we know we're going to get a hand crossbow, which would be probably our ranged option. And the heavy crossbow is not much better. The longbow, on the other hand, might be a good idea. It is heavy. It is two-handed. Then again, sometimes it's nice to have a melee weapon, like a dagger, or a mace, or a maul, or a whip. Whips are kind of cool. I still think the net doesn't do damage, but it might be fun just to wrap people up in a net. And there's the blowgun, which does 1 damage. Do we want to focus on damage? I don't have a bonus to dex here. Or do I just want to focus on being a menace? Choices. Alright, we're going to go with... I'm going to go with the longbow. I'm going to do it. Sorry, not sorry. Longbow. Okay, so I've picked the second martial weapon. Okay, now we can have two hand axes, or a light crossbow, and 20 bolts. Well, I have a longbow, so I think we're going to do two hand axes. Hand axe. And I'm just going to put ×2 on the outside. And we get to pick a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. Now, this is another D&D. I'm probably going to pick this Dungeoneer's pack to begin with. Yeah, I think that's the one to go with. The Explorer's pack doesn't fit the character that I'm playing, so we're going to go to equipment. Sorry, I bumped you. Oh, and okay. So we get one backpack. We get a crowbar. You get a hammer. You get 10 pitons. Those little things that you hammer into rock to climb with. You get 10 torches. Those are those little things you use to light... Oh, never mind. tinderbox. Because you can't have things that light on fire without fire. You get rations. Yum yum. 10 days of those. Water skin. Just one. Water skin. And 50 foot of hempen rope. 50 foot. I always just put 50 foot hemp. And then later on, somebody else will have to figure that out. Okay, so that's a Dungeoneer's pack. The Explorer's pack has things for more urban or like above ground or non-dungeoneering stuff. I mean, it's called an Explorer's pack. I didn't see spot about here on. I hear about gold. So I'm guessing. That's right, that's a different thing. Anyways, then we get to start loading up features and abilities. So, for that, I'm going to utilize this big open space here. As a fighter, you get to choose multiple fighting styles. There's archery, blind fighting, defense, dueling, grade weapon fighting, interception, protection, superior to technique, thrown weapon fighting, two-weapon fighting, unarmed fighting, and then some UAs and other abilities. These are all very good options, but because I'm trying to stay to like a base, a lot of people say to take dueling because you get a +2 to damage rolls. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna take great weapon fighting because it lets you reroll 1s and 2s. That includes on crits, and with Savage Attacker, I get a bonus one, so I can roll potentially a lot of damage, re-roll potentially a lot of bad damage. So we're gonna take greater weapon fighting. You can decide how you like to track these abilities. These are what flavor your class and your subclass. Greater weapon fighting. And then I generally will just either put a small synopsis, rerolls 1 and 2, rerolls 1, 2, damage. Okay. And that is that fighting style. Second ability is something I'm going to put up here in features and traits, and that one is called Second Wind. This is first level ability. Second Wind. On the right, you put 1 uses. This is something that comes back on a short and long rest. And Second Wind. You have a limited well of stamina that you can draw on to protect yourself from harm. On your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level. It's a bonus action, so we'll mark bonus. And Second Wind right here. And that is 1d10 plus fighter. Okay. I mix abbreviations and full words. Not a big deal. Okay, and that's everything you get for your class. Okay, so at this point, technically, you have enough to start playing. You could take this information that I've already helped you get, your stats, your hit points, your abilities, your skills, your ability to hit, your attacks, your items, all that stuff. You could take all of that, and you could go play the game. You could go play the game right now and have yourself a blasty blast. Pretty much everything else that we're going to go into is kind of non-mechanical. It's going to end up being more about your character, and this part will be about the background. You can roll these tables. I might take some of them as a roll, but I typically like to kind of read through all of them and come up with an idea. These are suggested, like, character flaws and ideals and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and hold this up here. So the first thing on this one, because I'm a child of exiled, is crimes committed by your parents. Cheated an essential merchant in a commercial deal. They were involved in the magic arts and were caught performing a ritual. Dishonorably discharged from a military order. They wrote a book that threatened the status quo. They were part of a losing side of a war and were not allowed back into society once it was over. Or they murdered an underworld criminal who had connections with the ruling class. So the one that I'm going to kind of pick is dishonorably discharged. However, it is a little bit... I'm going with a different background, which is something I'll put in the backstory. But for the gist of it, it's basically that his parents were high-ranking guardians of a labyrinth that a mage was in charge of, and through some things that happened, they were exiled, and I was sent to live in the nearby city in exile from what we basically grew up knowing. So that's something that we would put in character backstory. I'll get to that a little bit later. That is this slot up here if you're using the sheet. Okay, personality traits. I do not easily trust others. I feel a longing for my parents. My gaze is constantly scanning my surroundings. When a friend is in need, I always answer the call. Patience is not a virtue of mine. I am fond of gambling and enjoy the risk. I have a soft spot for criminals, or I am very direct, not caring if my words offend. This is a D8 roll, so I think we'll roll because there's not really any of those that jumped out at me. So I'm going to do this agnostic of a dice tower. That was, okay, so that's a 4. But it rolled in the tray. It rolled. You tell me in the comments what you think. I'm going to roll again. Here we go. Now that's 5. Patience is not a virtue of mine. If you're watching this, if you decide to watch this, this is a part you like, pick between those. I kind of like the when a friend is in need, I always answer the call, so I'm going to write that down. But if you think that's bull honky, you tell me. Switch it up. Goals, ideals, bonds, flaws. They don't have a spot for traits. Well, we're going to put it in ideals, bonds, flaws, personality traits. I'm going to put down to write that down. Friend is in need, I always answer the call. Always answer when a friend is in need. A friend is in need. Okay. That is my personality trait. Now, a D6 for ideals. Tolerant. I respect all races as equals. That's a good. I'll read at the end there. Liberator. I will do anything to free enslaved people. Good. Rebel. To fight against any sort of authority. Chaotic. Murder. I will resort to violence against those that commit it. Evil. Travel. I will travel to any port to discover new lands. Any. Corruption. I must avoid any temptation to join the side of the oppressors. Neutral. 3. Rebel. To fight against any sort of authority. Yeah, I kind of like that. So my ideals is to rebel against authority. And that kind of makes sense simply because the character was thrown out by the mage. So I like that. My bonds. I discovered that the world was not made equal for all. Once I incited a mutiny on a cruel captain, and he was killed. 3. I must free those that have been enslaved. 4. Those who exiled my parents will pay the ultimate price. 5. I'm wanted in several cities for liberating enslaved people. 6. I spent a year lost in the jungle. I learned to survive. I'm gonna lean towards 6, but let's see what the dice say. The dice says it's going to go as far away. That was a 6. Okay, that's 4 though. Those who exile my parents will pay the ultimate price. I'm not really feeling a vengeance from this guy, even though that's what the dice rolled. I think I'm going to go with I spent a year lost in a jungle and I learned to survive. See, and these are suggestions. The dice will roll what they want to roll, and I don't necessarily think that going against the dice in this aspect is very bad. I feel like the dice rollers are kind of more for people speed rolling a character. This character is meant to have longevity, so. Flaws. I worry too often about the fate of others. 2. I grow weary in the presence of magic. 3. Witnessing cruelty brings out the worst in me. 4. I believe the ends justify the mean. 5. I do not worry about the suffering of the wealthy class. 6. Laws mean nothing to me. Alright, let's go. I'm going to go with a Villains Marvel dice. It's pretty cool. Number 1. I worry too often about the fate of others. This is kind of perfect for this character, so I'm kind of excited about that. He's going to be a worrywart. I worry too often about others. So the reason why I did it this way is it shows you a couple of different ways of doing rolling your ideals and personality and things like that. But that being said, sometimes if you're kind of like have your mind not too made up and you need a little bit of help, you can roll the dice for that. And this is one of those situations where that helps you. But also, I just kind of feel like, if I roll the dice and I didn't like the outcome and I immediately thought about one of the other ones, then that's one I want to choose. And I hope that helps. Okay, so that's the stuff for the background. That is flaws. My goals, obviously, is to rescue my parents. Backstory will get filled up as we go. I will do that. And so, and for the tools, I decided I was going to use, Herbalism Kit. Herbalism. Okay. So, and then there's other things on here that you can, there's conditions that you can go over. There's resistances, which, as a Minotaur, I don't have any of those. That is something that gives you half damage or immunity or double damage based on what, if you're um, vulnerable to fire, and you take double from fire damage. So there's that bit. Temporary inspiration. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else I can fill out. I did have a sack with 15 gold, so I know I have 15 gold. And we get other things as we go. We will get other items to put here. Acquaintances, friends and foes, character appearance, and whatnot. So, just using this, what we have here, you are fully capable of taking this, going out and playing D&D as a 5th edition fighter minotaur. Cool. Okay, so now I'm going to add a little bonus content. This is fully a preference thing. If it's not your game, then that's fine. I went to Walmart and I bought these screen protectors, or sheet protectors, and so this is just my way of dealing with this. Now, before we go further, the question's going to get asked, I'm sure, how I feel about like D&D Beyond or online. I play online on Forge. I use a D&D companion plugins for that, and I don't mind using it that way. If I'm at a tabletop, I prefer this. I prefer pen and paper. But so what I'm doing here is, so my character sheet, I want to have quick access to, and you know what? Actually, I think we're just gonna go like this. Okay, I'm gonna go this way, and I'll monkey with it when I get to the table. But you kind of want to. Oh no, you know what? I'm gonna go that way because I would rather have a. I'm gonna have the same footprint either way. Because I'm gonna have a book here. Now, if I can get this into the screen. This is the video, everybody. It's just me messing with screen sheet protectors. I'm gonna keep saying screen protectors. I work in IT and I deal with screen protectors all day. Okay, now this is a sheet protector. This is plastic. Okay. What I'll do here is take the other important stuff. Take this stuff. Those two go back to back. They go into the same sheet protector. Okay. This is just a little bit of a way of making things somewhat more, feel a little bit nicer. And also, I can't tell you how many times I've had character sheets just shoved away in a player's handbook or whatever book that was pertinent to the class I was playing. You know, I played 3.5, so I mean, there's about 1,000 of those, or Pathfinder, there's 1,000,000 of those. I can't tell you how many times I've had a character sheet just shoved away inside of a player's handbook or something, and it just get completely dog-eared, destroyed, dirty, filthy. It's terrible. I went to Walmart and I bought one of these black binders. They're literally, I think it was $2. The sheet protectors are a little bit more, but you get a pack of them. It's not like 3 protectors or whatever this is. Okay. Put your spiral ring, whatever, here. Only thing that I didn't realize about this is it doesn't have any like little pockety things to like slide stuff into. Because I usually like to get note cards and stuff. But I'm sure I will also have a notebook for this game. So those will probably be in that notebook. Okay, but then with just that little amount of effort, you have your character sheet fully protected. The best part about these plastic sheets is that if you have a wet erase marker, dry erase marker, I'm pretty sure dry erase marker is the one that you're going to want to use, but you have wet erase, vis-a-vis, whatever, you can delete your hit points here, and as you need to go, just wipe them, or use them in the margins. Fill in this information. When your quantities go down, you can adjust those on the fly, and then fix them later, so that when your using abilities getting hurt, spellcasters, I don't have a spellcaster sheet on this one because I'm not a spellcaster, but when you're tracking spells and that whatnot, you can use these sheets to tally your spells used and whatnot. You can also use the phone, not knocking anything. I use a combination of everything. So that is the tip for the bonus binder. Put some stickers on here, put your name on it. It'll look super cool. Everyone will go, wow, that's really nice when you pull that out. And they've got their sheet stuck into a book and it's all messed up with coffee stains and Swedish fish stains all over it. God, that was hard to say. Anyways, that's that special tip. This is my hand. You haven't seen my face a lot. I love you. Goodbye. And welcome back. So, hopefully you learned something. Hopefully there was a little bit of information in there that made you go, ooh, that's an interesting way of doing that. Or maybe you just had a good video to watch to clown on me and my terrible lighting and terrible camera. Whatever the case is, I hope you appreciated this video, and I do appreciate that you stayed all the way to the end. And look, the orb of chaos has cracked open, and inside, 'tis a minotaur mini.
a mini minotaur, a mini 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 minotaur, mini minotaur. If you don't know that video, go look it up because that's a great one. So, that's gonna be my mini. He suffered a little bit of damage off the 3D printer, so he does need a little triage. But once I get to that point, paint him up. I don't have a name for this guy. I've been thinking of quite a few and just haven't found any that really I liked. There's a lot of puns. My dad has a character named Meat Barrier, which my guy is a minotaur, and he is a wall of beef. So then I came up with the name Beef Wall, which is another character that I have, and kind of just went back and forth. And I don't usually do like punny names because I usually have punny characters. So I don't know. So if you have an idea for a minotaur name, put it in the comments. If I just see one that's so great that I'm just gonna this is gonna be the one, that's gonna be the one. But if I have a couple, maybe I'll put up a poll. I'll think of a couple. But yeah. So again, thank you very much. If you watch the whole video, please do the things that every YouTuber always tells you to do in the comments, in the likes, in the subscribes. I'm not begging for them, but if you'd like to, please do it. I mean, it doesn't hurt. I am not sponsored by any of these people, by any of the books, the sheets, the dice, any of that stuff. It's just stuff that I appreciate and I like. So hopefully, maybe in the future, I can get some sort of collaboration with them going. I'm still figuring things out. I have more equipment coming. I have more videos thought up. I have ideas. I really want to do this series of skits, but I need better equipment, better money, and I need to learn this system. So here we are. Final time I'm going to say this. Thank you very much. I love you. And I don't know, maybe I'll see you at a table. No natural one.